Johnny Depp appears to be entering another fascinating phase of his life, one shaped less by the turbulence that has followed him in recent years, and more by creativity, professional ambition, and the possibility of a fresh beginning. For an actor whose career has moved through extraordinary highs, difficult personal moments, and intense public scrutiny, the latest chapter feels particularly significant. In 2026, Depp is once again becoming a major subject of conversation as audiences look toward his next projects and wonder what the future may hold for one of Hollywood's most distinctive stars. The change is not necessarily about one dramatic announcement or a single event. Instead, it represents a gradual transformation in the direction of Depp's public life. After years in which his name was frequently associated with legal battles, controversy, and questions about his Hollywood future, attention is increasingly returning to his work. His upcoming projects suggest that he is not simply attempting to repeat the past, but is exploring different kinds of characters and creative opportunities. That shift has given fans a reason to believe that another important chapter of his career may be unfolding. One of the clearest signs of this new period is Depp's return to major film projects. He is set to play Ebenezer Scrooge in Ebenezer, A Christmas Carol directed by Ty West, a darker interpretation of Charles Dickens' classic story. The film is scheduled for release in November 2026, placing Depp at the center of a major new cinematic opportunity. Depp has also appeared publicly to promote the project, including a CinemaCon appearance that generated considerable attention among fans and entertainment observers. The role itself is an intriguing choice. Scrooge is one of literature's most recognizable characters, but Depp has built much of his reputation by transforming unusual, eccentric, and complicated personalities into memorable screen performances. His interpretation could therefore become another opportunity for him to demonstrate the qualities that originally made him such a fascinating actor: physical transformation, unpredictability, emotional intensity, and an ability to make unconventional characters compelling. For fans, the significance extends beyond the movie itself. Depp's return to a prominent leading role represents something symbolic, after a period when his professional future appeared uncertain. Hollywood careers can change rapidly, particularly for performers who have spent decades at the center of public attention. Depp's current position suggests that his story is not finished, and that he still has ambitions beyond the characters that established his legendary status. His career has always been defined by reinvention. Long before becoming globally recognized as Captain Jack Sparrow, Depp established himself as an actor willing to take risks. From Edward Scissorhands to Ed Wood, Donnie Brasco, Sweeney Todd, and numerous other performances, he repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to move away from conventional leading man roles. That willingness to experiment became one of the defining characteristics of his career, and it may again become important as he moves into this new stage. Another important element of Depp's current chapter is his work behind the camera. In 2024, he returned to directing with Modi 3 Days on the Wing of Madness, his first feature as director in more than 2 decades. The film focused on Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani and featured an international cast including Al Pacino. Its festival reception demonstrated that Depp's creative interests extend beyond acting and that filmmaking remains an important part of his artistic identity. That broader creative identity may prove particularly important as Depp grows older. At this stage of his career, the question is no longer simply whether he can return to the level of fame he experienced during the peak of the Pirates of the Caribbean era. Instead, the more interesting question is what kind of artist he wants to become next. His recent choices indicate an interest in projects that allow him to explore unusual personalities, darker stories, and creative responsibilities beyond simply appearing in front of the camera. There is also a quieter dimension to this new phase. Depp has increasingly been portrayed as someone interested in protecting his privacy and focusing on creative pursuits rather than constantly responding to public speculation. That does not mean his life has become invisible. Quite the opposite. His every appearance continues to attract enormous attention. But there appears to be a growing distinction between the public image surrounding Johnny Depp and the private life he chooses to keep away from the spotlight. That distinction matters because Depp's public journey has been unusually intense. Few actors have experienced such a combination of enormous popularity, professional success, personal controversy, and worldwide fan loyalty. His supporters have continued to follow his career closely, while critics have remained deeply interested in his decisions and projects. As a result, almost every new development in his life becomes part of a larger conversation about fame, resilience, and reinvention. Romantic speculation also continues to attract attention whenever Depp's personal life changes, or he is seen in unfamiliar circumstances. However, without a confirmed announcement from Depp himself, it would be premature to declare that a specific romantic development represents the next phase of his life. What can be said with greater confidence is that fans remain intensely interested in the personal side of his journey and frequently interpret his public appearances as signs of a broader transformation. For Depp, however, the most meaningful change may ultimately be internal rather than public. Entering a new phase of life does not necessarily require a dramatic announcement. Sometimes it means choosing different priorities, approaching work differently, spending more time on personal passions, and allowing the past to become part of the story rather than the entire story. For an actor who has lived much of his adult life under intense scrutiny, that kind of transition could be especially meaningful. His relationship with music and visual art also provides another window into this side of his personality. Depp has long maintained interests outside acting, and his artistic pursuits have allowed him to express himself in ways that do not depend on a film studio or a screenplay. Those creative outlets may become increasingly important as he continues to shape the next stage of his career. Meanwhile, speculation about a possible return to the world of Captain Jack Sparrow remains one of the biggest subjects among his longtime supporters. Reports and discussions surrounding the future of Pirates of the Caribbean have kept the possibility alive, although a confirmed return should not be treated as fact until officially announced. The character remains deeply connected to Depp's identity as a movie star, but his current projects demonstrate that he does not have to rely exclusively on that famous role to attract global attention. What makes this period particularly interesting is the uncertainty surrounding it. Depp is no longer at the beginning of his career, yet he is clearly not content to simply look backward. His next projects give him an opportunity to demonstrate what he can do at a different stage of his artistic life. The result could be a career chapter defined not by nostalgia, but by reinvention. For millions of fans, that possibility is exciting. They have watched Depp evolve from a young actor into an international superstar, and then navigate one of the most complicated periods of his public life. Now they are watching again as he moves toward another horizon. Whether this becomes a full Hollywood resurgence, a quieter artistic renaissance, or a combination of both remains to be seen. What seems increasingly clear is that Johnny Depp's story is still moving forward. His life has already contained enough dramatic turns to fill several films, yet 2026 presents another opportunity for change. With new acting challenges, renewed creative ambitions, and continuing global interest in his personal journey, Depp stands at the beginning of a chapter that could redefine how audiences see him. For an artist whose career has always been built around transformation, that may be the most fitting development of all. Johnny Depp does not appear ready to simply repeat the past. Instead, he is stepping into another phase, one where experience, creativity, and reinvention may become more important than the fame he achieved decades ago. And as his next chapter begins to take shape, fans around the world will undoubtedly be watching closely.